Welcome to our family room. Haven't seen you here in a while. It's good to be here. For those of you that don't know, I'm Mitchell. That's Katie. And we are the Bennetts. This is just a podcast that's evergreen content that we just want to make as a way for people to get to know us, get to know our business, and just share some of the things we've learned over the years in wedding photography. So let's jump right in. How did we get our start in photography, Kate?
Well, it was 2011, and I had just quit my teaching job to become a stay-at-home mom with our daughter, who's now 14. And we were trying to make it on one teacher's income because you were also a high school math teacher. So I was just at home with this baby trying to think about ways to earn a little bit of extra money. And you had the skill of photography. We had invested in a really nice camera for you. And I started to think, I bet we could make some money with that.
Yeah, I had started dealing with photography in high school a little bit, and then in college I stole one of my dad's old point and shoots and took that to college, and I'd play with it and just try to figure out how everything worked and the technical details of it and go take some interesting pictures as much as I could. And then when I graduated college, my parents got me a graduation gift that was a Canon Rebel, and that kind of furthered my interest in photography. And like you said, you used that and you really grabbed the bull by the horn and had that entrepreneurial spirit. You loved doing that part of it, the business side of it. And even though we started the company as Mitchell Bennett Photography, you were always a driving force and always a huge part of it. It started with me taking pictures, but we did our first wedding in 2012, actually. So
That's when I began my run as starting as a second shooter for you, just kind of learning a little bit here and there, and then a whole lot of practice.
Yeah.
So
we charged $500 for that first wedding and spent $500 renting equipment just to make sure we did the best possible job.
I truly discovered a love for photography and a passion for it. And I think I'd always loved it, but I didn't think it was something I could do. And so I'm so grateful that God brought us on this path and allowed me to get to do something that I just feel so lucky.
But we photographed our first wedding in 2012. 2013, I go and start working for a church, and that church had Saturday services. And so I went from a teacher salary to another decrease in pay to work at a church. So we needed to continue to grow our photography business just to continue to pay for our lives.
We had more children by then.
We had
our son Matthew. So yeah, financial responsibilities increased, but everything just fit our need. The photography business was growing. We were gathering experience. We were getting a lot better at what we were doing. We had a portfolio of work. We had a foundation of a Facebook page that people would find us through and knew that we did this. We had a website. This was before Instagram. We hadn't jumped the boat on that yet.
But I worked on Saturdays at the church, so we did a lot of family sessions because that kind of is what fit our schedule. And we did some weddings when I would get some weekends off from working on Saturdays at the church. But then
I think it was 2016, because now we had a third child, Emily.
It was
and she was one.
2016, we moved to your hometown.
Yep.
And through the sale of our house and some other things, we had the opportunity to kind of jump into photography and owning our own businesses and doing that all on our own. And that was a huge change for us. I don't feel like we're real risky people. We're a little risk adverse in those kinds of areas. And having 3 kids, you don't want to be too risky. So we jumped right in, though.
We had 1 year. We knew, like, financially, you had planned it all out. You're really good at that. We knew that we had 1 year to figure out if we could fully support ourselves, and then we were going to have to abandon it.
So you went and visited our local wedding association where all the vendors from weddings gathered and got involved in that right away after we moved. And that kind of jump-started us into the wedding world. But really we always had an interest in weddings, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Weddings are so exciting and so much fun to us. I think we're people who really like a challenge. So a lot of photographers will say when they hear you're a wedding photographer, they say, "Oh, I couldn't do weddings." Because, and I know what they mean. It's exhausting. It takes a toll physically, emotionally, and it's a lot of pressure. I mean, I couldn't even imagine the weight I would feel if we ever messed up. But luckily, in over 100 weddings, we have not. And I think that's because we kind of thrive in that environment, and we really do have wonderful systems in place, and being a two photographer team is really important to us so that we know we're going to be able to capture everything in a really high quality way so that these memories are preserved for our clients. And everything's beautiful on a wedding day. I think that's very inspiring to me. The beautiful gown, the beautiful decor, everybody looks so nice with their styling, and everybody is happy.
One of the things I love about weddings is that we get to do it together. I just love so much our marriage and our relationship and just spending time together. And so it's really neat to do something together. I always get reminded about how thankful I am for you and our marriage every time I see somebody else getting married. And so it just engages me in so many different ways because I get to do something that I love with somebody that I love and just consistently get reminded how awesome that is.
Yeah, I think ultimately, we dabbled in different things. We did a lot of families in the beginning, and we now are so passionate about weddings. That is what we have discovered is our thing. I think a huge part of that is our passion for marriage, that we really believe that this matters, and we want to be there. Just experiencing it along with the couple means a lot, but even more than that, that we get to be the keepers of these memories and share those back with the bride and groom. And a lot of the pictures we take are things they didn't really get to see or couldn't fully process on the day. So it just gives a whole new perspective to a really special moment in time.
Yeah, and being a couple, I feel like that brings different dynamics to every wedding day because you bring a certain set of abilities and I bring a certain set of abilities and perspectives that are different. And it's really cool to see you on a wedding day because you're so calm and cool and collected, and you're kind of someone who's going to bring joy to the wedding day. You're going to make people feel good about themselves. You're going to make sure that everything is looking good. You're always attentive to what the ladies look like, what the men look like. You're very attentive to what people need and making sure that they have what they need. So that means if somebody's struggling on the day or is done with pictures or needs something that has absolutely nothing to do with photography, you're willing to step in and take that and make sure it gets done, even if it's not something that's in our contract or people might not expect us to do. It doesn't matter. We're going to do that, and you're especially good at finding those and filling them.
Thanks. I do feel like we have a very relational approach to our wedding photography, and it just has a lot to do with who we are and what we value. We are people. We're not super extroverts, but we just really love people and we really care about our clients. And I feel like that our whole heart's desire whenever we go into a wedding day is just to serve well and to be a blessing to them. I mean, you're the exact same way with everything you just said, but I feel like some of your unique strengths are your technical and mathematical brain. That photography is like this massive, complicated math equation, especially when you start introducing multiple light sources that you're controlling. It's something that you just think through in a very systematic way to produce incredible results. And I can do lighting as well, but I feel like you are on a next level with some of the just the speed and quickness that you're able to figure it all out on the fly, which is amazing because obviously at events, you're dealing with tons of lighting situations and they're often bad.
Yeah.
if I'm honest.
Yeah. And you have to be able to work quick. You have to be able to work in a different variety of situations. You know, we've done weddings where the portrait session with just the couple was 3 minutes long. And here we are, and we got to get great images in just a short amount of time.
Have you ever done 3 minutes?
Oh, we've done.
I know we've done 6 minutes.
Okay.
Because that was our last wedding. It was 6 minutes. And it's January right now, and we have just had our last 2 weddings were in winter. So there was very little natural light. And a lot of both were church weddings. So churches might not have the best light bulbs installed. They might not cast the best color cast. And there's just a lot that goes into making it great, but also respecting the situation that you're in and balancing all of that. Again, it's the challenge, and I think that's kind of what gets us really excited.
Oh, definitely. What are the highlights that we want to hit when we're at a wedding? What is the experience that the Bennetts want to bring while we're at the wedding? Like for me, I know when we first walk in the room, I want to have a certain impression that we put on. And that impression is we're there, we're ready, and we're professional. I want the bride who's not made up all the way yet, whose hair's kind of crazy, and who's just kind of undone a little bit in terms of the put togetherness. We walk in and she sees us and she's like, wow, you guys look great, because we show up ready, professional. We're always going to be early, and we're going to look like we're ready for the ceremony in terms of how we're dressed and how we behave and act.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a whole questionnaire we go through with couples during the consultation that is super valuable, and it's something that we've honed very much over the last decade. But one of the questions that we always ask, if we don't already know, is what is the dress code? Because it's very important to match that so that we are supporting the vibe that the bride and groom want for their wedding. So we've had, it's a backyard Tommy Bahama vibe. We've had black tie and everything in between.
Yeah.
I think we've already touched on it, but we want couples to feel cared for. And that's pretty easy because we do care about them. I think we want them to feel heard, that if they're trying to tell us, you know what, think I just need to go sit down, like I'm kind of done with pictures, that we are going to be able to set our artistic egos aside and just hear them and what they need. And I think that's something we do really well compared to some other photographers that we've observed. And that just goes back to our peopleness. But we want to listen well and serve well, even if we don't get to do something that we thought would be really cool, if the couple doesn't want to.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is being willing to hold things loosely, like you just alluded to. We come into the day and we have things that we might want to do, or a new technique that we might want to try. And we have those ideas in our head because we're always trying to get better and we're always trying to improve. But we hold those things loosely as well. We're going to play off of what the couple is feeling and doing during the day. And we're not necessarily just going to drive those things until we get there.
Yeah, and it's also highly informed by the couple's vision, their mood board, anything that we have seen where they are showing us, this is what I want holistically. So we actually do some creative direction prior to the wedding that the couple never even sees, where we create some photography mood boards of shots that we think would really support and align with their values and their location and what the veil looks like, what the attire is going to look like, and kind of just their general energy. It's something that we want to be very intentional about, actually tailoring everything that we're doing. We're not trying to be cookie cutter in how we photograph a wedding. It's not just a matter of we have this repeatable system in place that we're going to do, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. We want to, like you said, challenge ourselves, but tailor a very custom experience and product to our couples.
All right, so last question here. We've alluded to this a lot, but what makes us unique as photographers?
I think one aspect is that we are a husband and wife team. So we are both lead photographers when we come into a wedding day, and we are very accustomed to working with one another, and we play off of the strengths that each person offers. So, for example, you are a certified drone pilot. So, we include drone photography with all of our weddings if the schedule and weather location permit. But we have the ability to split up and cover different things at the same time. So it really is double the coverage at a high level. Instead of sometimes you might get a single photographer with a second shooter that's less experienced or they don't work with all the time. And what we have seen happen is the lead shooter has to go and retake those photos just kind of as a little bit of insurance to a certain degree many times. And it kind of just ends up feeling like a little bit inefficient. So I love that we're able to bring that efficiency and just two creative minds and a very collaborative approach. A lot of times during portraits, I will be thinking what's going to be the next pose, and so that we can always keep the couple moving while you are problem solving the lighting and setting up the camera how you want it for the shot. So we're able to do a lot in a short space of time in a really fluid way.
One other thing that I think sets us apart, that shouldn't really set us apart, it should be table stakes, but as I've grown in this industry, I realize it's not for lots of businesses, and that's just our professionalism. It's making sure that we respond clearly, that we respond quickly to any communication that you have with us. And also, once we go through the wedding, making sure that you get your images on a good timeline. We're going to turn around and give you a sneak peek that is going to be seen very quick, so you can share that with whoever you want and just reassure you that, hey, my images look awesome. This is going to be good when I get the full gallery. And that full gallery is going to come in what's measured as weeks, not months. And for a lot of photographers, that's not the case. And I think that really does set us apart. And some of these things I feel like takes time. It takes time to get to know us and to realize that we are caring, loving people and that our priority is you. We're not going to sell people because we're the most boisterous, awesome people in the world. And we're not going to sell people with the greatest copy in all our emails and writings. But we are going to be very professional and very courteous and very couple first. Not this couple, but the one we're serving.
Yeah, it is incredibly important to us that we do what we said we were going to do. And there would not be anything much more devastating than if for some reason we were late. There have been times where there have been unforeseeable traffic delays. And if we think that we're going to be 3 minutes late to meet with our couple, we are like sick to our stomachs. We just never, ever, that's not who we are at all. And we just really value people's time and we value the trust that they put in us.
Absolutely. Is there anything you want to add? Finish up?
I think we're just really grateful that we get to do this, and we're grateful for every single couple that puts their trust in us to photograph their wedding. It means the world, and we do not take that lightly.
Yeah. There's only one time they get to do this most of the time, and we get to be a big part of that. So cheers to
Cheers.
weddings.